Like we're watching Laurel Canyon now, right? That movie that I put in the post. Definitely go back and watch that because that was, that group of musicians and kind of consciousness that was going on in Laurel Canyon really was the beginning of the hippies, the beginning of 60s fashion. It was the beginning of really like just like the movie says, it was the beginning of races being together, and I think that those concepts is more like what I think can happen with this house. It can be the epicenter for like people that are breaking out of the system,
for a new cultural paradigm.
a new cultural paradigm. Like, yeah, a new way to live. Like, it's not just a house to live in or to go to. It's a new cultural paradigm. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's like a breaking away of your dad's way of living in a house.
The new standard way of living.
It's like it's yeah, like I don't know if it's a standard, but it's a new way that young men see as the future. Because if you look at like MGTOW channels, they have no answers. The answers are just sadness
Live in the woods.
and they fucked us over. Things are getting worse. But this house, this is about taking advantage of all the modern things. Like, because now we can travel. Like, any of you guys can just jump on a plane and come to Thailand. Like, it's no problem. It's super cheap. Like, it's easy and cheap. And if we have a house near Asok, you can literally just take the airport train straight to the house. Like, it costs you like $2 and you'll be at, you know what I mean? You can walk to the house from there. So, like, it's a whole new, it's like a new consciousness, a new, like, Western civilization is fucked. They need a new kick in the ass. I want this house to be like famous, where it's like the beginning of something, right? And like tons of people come and hear about the house. It's not like the channel. The channel is kind of like, I'm not using my face, you know. And then we did the summits, and the summits are in person, right? This is a deeper thing, and like a lot more energy, more people, and girls will be at the house. Sometimes, girls will come by the house. Guys will have girlfriends. Guys will fuck girls in the house. It's a way. It's like the best possible model given the current state of affairs, and it has to start in Thailand. It can't start here because the girls are no good here. So it has to start somewhere. Not that Thailand is the best girls. I mean, I would say if we're going to say straight up best girls, would probably be Japan or Thailand, Taiwan, somewhere in countryside in China. There's some good places. There's even possibly like Southeast Asia in general. Has some good girls, still feminine girls. So it's like, I think when you're thinking about this house, you want to start thinking about this shit is real. Like, let's make this happen. And then it's like, yeah, it's like a way of eating, way of living. It's like fucking fuck this stupid shit that doesn't make any sense. Like all this shit that doesn't make any sense. Fuck all that stuff. It's just like, but the thing is, I can say that, but if you don't see it, you're not living it, then it's hard to kind of, you know what I mean, be part of it, right? But if you're in the house, you live in the house, then you stay in the house, for a while, right? You're like, oh yeah, and it's, it'll be much more real to you, much more real to people. And maybe even, yeah, I don't know, like fashion, I think fashion is important. I think looking good is kind of like everybody here kind of gave up. They just got fat. They just eat sugar. They just smoke weed. They just totally gave up on like being badass. And like, this is like a bunch of cool people, like a bunch of cool guys, like beating the fucking system. So like the house itself is kind of important, because it's got to be funky. And when I looked at the listings, I could see that some of the houses are just very normal and modern. And there's no little nooks and crannies for people to hang out and do stuff. We need that. We need there's a little area here, there's an area there, there's a little loft there, there's this, that, so that everybody's not always in a classroom environment, It's like funky, right? And like I think I can see like that because this whole thing started from ideas, right? So it's like new ideas and ways of thinking. So like people that could be invited would be like not media people. Like we just watched the documentary, the Laurel Canyon. It's fucking awesome, by the way. But like that was the era where music was everything. And today it's internet and ideas. So like idea people. So like there might be somebody on the internet who's like really unique ideas. We could invite him to come or her to come and talk at the house. And, they could, truly radical, like new ways of thinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like no fucking around, like good ideas, not just some famous person. Although a famous person like a Jordan Peterson would be great to have at the house, because that adds another aspect. But I think too, like, like in the if you connect it to this documentary, you look at Frank Zappa, right? And then you look at the characters in that documentary, because each of those characters could be one of you, right? Like the person so somebody's like the Mama Cass who connects people, who brings new people in, who sees two things that should be together and puts them together, right? Not just brings people like an intelligent matchmaker for whatever. And then you got Frank Zappa, who really he was respected for his ability to play an instrument, but I don't know. I don't even know any of his songs. So, and he was my era. So I don't resonate with his music at all, but I could see in this, I guess what was his thing? Like
Personality.
His personality, like he was somebody that everybody respected in that era. And then of course his daughter had famous songs. I know his daughter's song. I don't know his songs, but there'll be different characters that will, in every movement, this is a movement. I want to make a movement. Like, I think it's time for a fucking movement, basically. So, that's, and I think it's important. And I'm not just saying this to be different or whatever. Like, no one else is doing it. No one else sees it. I can see this is like, yeah, I can see that it's a movement. It's like, and there's a lot of energy in this movement, right? And there's going to be a cast of characters, like, rich entrepreneurs, internet guys, and also too, it's very international. Like this group is way more international than you think. Like there's a lot of listeners in Africa, in India, like they're all over the fucking place. Like we don't need to be fake. Like it appeals to a lot of different kinds of people, which is kind of what they did in Laurel Canyon too. It was like they couldn't even tour because black people, white people couldn't tour, right? But that house and that movement is like what we just take for granted now. All those ideas that they, you know what I mean? And I want this to be like a birthplace of ideas, so that there's like all these new fucking ideas coming out of this house and new ways, like basically fucking the old way, fucking what your parents did, fucking houses in general, like the way they're designed and the way people live, sitting in chairs and just the same shit has been going on since the 1800s. This house here is the exact same design, or you could have had in the 1600s almost, like so far back. And like you had to go way back to get to one room houses to get before this current model. But I think that's why the house is important. It's like ideas. And so eventually I want to buy houses because then we can trick them out. or build a house. Because there's a lot of guys on that are plumbers, concrete, they're good.
Nutrition.
Yeah, electricians. There's a lot of talent. Like, it's a bunch of fucking dudes who can build shit, basically. So we could easily get, a piece of land and then actually build a house. But the Thailand house is the first one. It's kind of a test. And then Laurel Canyon, if you look at the documentary, Laurel Canyon is this canyon, right? Physical canyon. But our Laurel Canyon is the world. So it's big cities, and there's one house at each place, right? So we might have, like, I would love to get a house in Laurel Canyon itself, like where I made the videos at the Hollywood Hills. Like, there's a reason. Like, I could see there's an energy there. There's people are hungry for this shit, for a new way. Like, we haven't had anything new since the fucking 60s, And then people were just trying to, but that stuff is dead now. Music is dead. It's no longer music. It's no longer guys playing guitars. Like, no one gives a shit about music. Like, this is a whole new era. It says, it'd be fun. I mean, somebody plays some music somewhere, at some point, but that's not the era we're in, right? So, like, what is the era that we're in? And then the new ways of living in this era. Because the old ways just don't fucking work, right? They just don't work. So it's like unapologetic. Like the way that guy walked around, Mickey Dolan walked around naked. Like, he just walked around naked in the house because he just didn't think clothes were necessary. And he wasn't anything. He just thought, oh, it's not necessary. I'm just not going to wear clothes. That kind of thinking where it's like, and unique characters is what I'm talking about. Like, people that just truly, like, fuck the old way. Like, I'm not into that. Like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to do that, and then bringing in new ideas, right? And then those ideas influencing other people. And, like, also too, like, I think video cameras and pictures, like, if you look at the walls of that house if you watch the documentary, towards the end, they have all the pictures of everybody. I think, like, I like good pictures. Like, I'll take a lot of time to take a good picture. If you look at my Instagram, whatever, it may seem like I just took a picture, but actually it was meticulously sometimes to get that. Other times it was luck. But I think that photography and videography and ideas and the internet, it's like all, like, I think the movement can't happen if there's no pictures. There has to be a visual, because if you're not in the house, you don't know. So it just can't grow. It can't. The ideas can't get out to the people. But if they can be somehow exported to the world, where it's like, fuck, that's the way to be, man. That shit is going down. This thing's gonna fucking explode. Could be absolutely so awesome, right? Like the beginning of some kind of beginning, right? Yeah, I think one of the key things, is hot Asian girls. That's like, we could have, because it's Thailand, right? So we could have like a jacuzzi full of sluts, like the hottest, smoking hottest girls. And also, it's very easy to get Japanese girls to come to Thailand. Because all you got to do is tell a Japanese girl, hey, come down, like if you're talking to her, like, say, online or whatever, and say, whatever, take a vacation to Thailand. And the Japanese girls, they love to go to Thailand on vacation. So especially in the wintertime when it's freezing ass up there, and they know that there's a guy there and there's something going on and place to sleep. Like, the girls will totally, like, just jump on a plane and come over because it's only a few hours and it's like $200 or so. It's super cheap from Japan. So, like, it's easy to get Japanese girls down. So I think Asian girls, I think, like, feminine Asian girls around, hot girls, I think that is that like visually is good. And also, I think that's a big part too, is we just don't want these fat chicks. Like, it's not that we don't like them. And that's the thing. What separates this group is that it's just that it's like I don't know, it's like if you go to Walmart and there's a bunch of aisles you don't even go down. You don't hate those aisles. You know what I mean? You look down there, it's like potato chips and soda. You're like, oh, I don't need that, right? So you go to the other aisle, right? Like that's kind of what it is. Like the other aisle is like hot Asian girls, right? It's just, basically, right? That's it, right? I think also like one thing that really impressed me when I first got to Thailand in 1990 was, I'd go to meetings or whatever, and I would meet people that lived in Thailand, and I was fascinated with them because I was already still new in Asia, right? Or I didn't even know I was going to be in Asia. I was just traveling, right? And I saw these guys who, they lived in Thailand. Back in 1990, they had like Thai wives, or they had like nice apartments. And when I went in their apartments, because they would invite me over, and I would see their like the decor in the house, like the teak wood floors, and like the dripping water, the bamboo, and like the Thai silk, and like just the aesthetics of Thailand is very attractive. It's very, very attractive. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is fucking beautiful. And I never forgot it because I went to other countries, and you look at other houses in other countries, and they just don't have that magical feeling that a Thai house has. Really, they don't. Even Singapore or Japan. Japan is nice. I like tatami rooms, but I'm very comfortable. I could live in a tatami room in a Thai house. Like that would be perfect because I do like tatami. But the thing is, the Thai houses, they're just classy. They're very practical. And because we're in Thailand, like getting Thai stuff is so easy. Like we might even be able to get stuff for free. Like when someone's tearing down old house, someone can run in there and grab like a mantelpiece or something, a big something. I remember when I was in Lumpini, they were tearing down this old Chinese temple. It was like Thai Chinese temple, and I got all the roof tiles. They were beautiful, and I took them to that house, and I was like, it was my most precious possession in Thailand. But then when I moved, I had to give them to somebody because they're just too heavy to take back, and they're probably a cultural relic or something. Because I snaked them at night, but they were gonna throw them away. Like they were literally gonna, yeah. I snaked them at night because they were literally gonna throw them away. Like they were breaking them, and I was like, these things are fucking valuable. They were so beautiful. I took a picture of them. I got them on my Instagram, like red and green and everything. And like I think we can find stuff like that and just bring it over to the house, Just and then we take a picture of it, and then somebody online will be like, I know what to do with that. You can buy this kind of grotto, whatever, and put this in here and then put it around that. So we can have, people coming up with ideas even that aren't even in the house, right? If we find anything like super cool and funky, like part of an old, a tree or, whatever the fuck we find, right? And so I think the house will be I think the house itself has got to be bitchin'. So it's got to be bitchin'. It doesn't have to be what an expat would want, though, because that's going to be too expensive. It has to be something where maybe it's a Thai factory or something, like an old Thai factory that used to be a house, or something like that, something out of the ordinary where we have to fix it up a little bit and kind of reuse it. Thais can't use it. Foreigners that are rich don't want it. So it's got to kind of be in the middle. Or obviously we could start with a rental house, right? And then we could look for that house. So the house can be fluid. I'm not expecting this first house to be our permanent house, and I could easily see us in the future when when people see what the fuck is going on. I can see rich guys just donating money to buy land in Laurel Canyon itself, which you guys know I'm a fan of that. I like the whole vibe up there. It's kind of like what I'm recreating in this house. Like, I think we could build a house because we've got so many talented guys, right? We could actually build a house later on in Laurel Canyon. We could have several, we could have one house here, one house there, and we could close the house. Fuck it. That one's done. No one's going there. That one's not happening, right? And we can, there's a lot of flexibility. And also we're on wheels, so we can change, right? So those are some of the ideas. But the Thai aesthetic thing is powerful. It's powerful. I know Bank told me one time how when he was in his family's house in northern Thailand, you know, the feeling of the house, you know, and I was just like trance. I was just my mind, because I have been in Thailand enough. I lived there 7 years and have been coming there a lot. That my mind could totally just into this moment in time that he was describing, and it's so neat. Like if you live in America and you just have only lived in shitty houses, which pretty much all the houses here, you don't know that there's pretty places to live in, and it affects your creativity and your it affects you. Like the house you live in affects you. They've done a lot of studies of this. Actually, people in boring designs and plastic this, and they just don't. It's like something unlocks when you are in a great environment, and I think a Thai house is like a perfect thing. So, and I know Bank wants to help. His uncle wants to help, so we can really do some hardcore searching for the. Maybe we could have a temporary house, like an apartment, to get everybody together and start talking and looking, things like that, right? So we have a lot of possibilities, right? Basically, there's no reason to wait. That's the number one thing. Like this shit is going forward. The train is like choo choo. So get on board or fucking jump off.